Hey, everybody. It is time for your Browns Friday Fumble.
All on it.
Do not try to pick it up and run.
Much like our defensive line showed us,
Just fall on it.
textbook.
Joe Jackson, you're stepping out, picking up the fumble recovery, and then you just leave that up to Chubbs. Just leave it on up to Chubbs. Is that what you would say, Dylan? Leave it to Chubbs?
Leave it to Chubbs.
You know, it is a Victory Friday. But we want to start this week because it's time for us to eat some crow. Hey, Dylan, you got that plate of crow?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, I think it's time we have to eat it. We talked a big game about the Baltimore fans. They didn't support their team. They didn't show up. And this is not really giving the Baltimore fans any credit because they did not show up in Baltimore.
Right.
But we talked a big game about the Browns fans coming through and packing that stadium. And Dylan, there were some people there, but it looked sparse. Barely anybody was there. I would say like 8 to 12% of the capacity of that. There were just like a handful of people. They were all kind of sitting apart, and like they didn't even like. If you got there, Dylan, wouldn't you have at least have moved to the 50-yard line?
Immediately.
And get near the other fans, like
immediately.
Yeah, that's what you do. You get near the other fans,
tight, man.
Create an atmosphere.
Look, how many touchdowns went without a high five to your neighbors?
Oh my gosh, all? And there were several.
Man. To put it in economics terms, I mean scarcity.
Yeah.
A real scarcity. I know it's a school night, and that's why Dave and I weren't up there, but I'm not going to get home at like midnight just to go to a Browns game. Like,
no, I mean, especially they're all going to be up so early.
Yeah.
And you try telling your wife, "Oh, I was at the Browns game. I'm going to sleep in a little bit." You see how that goes over.
Yeah, well, also you open that door when you get home, and
oh yeah, creak. Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of a stain on what should have been a really great moment for Kevin Stefanski.
God, yes,
his first NFL win. I mean,
like a debutante ball.
Yeah, it should have been his party. He was coming out. He was employing the stealth mask, so he didn't have to put the play calling sheet over his face, which
smart.
was really efficient. And the Browns' offense finally showed up, but the fans did not. And because we're a hard-hitting news team here, we need to find out what's going on. Why are the fans so mad? Why didn't they show up to the Thursday night opener?
Well, and we put our investigative team on it, and we've come up with some viable reasons here.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, Dave. Number one, I know I'm in this. Put me firmly in this group.
Yeah.
Fans are still upset that Freddie Kitchens was not given enough time.
Yeah. It seemed like he just kind of got rushed out of the building. They weren't ready for what he had developing to completely finish. And so you feel like this is just the Browns coaching carousel. Nothing without any stability. This is never going to get better.
And honestly, Dave, a larger majority of Browns fans, they're still mad that Greg Williams wasn't given a real shot.
I know. He didn't even get a I mean, we had the interview on the Friday Fumble, but it seemed like he had it wrapped up. But yeah, he deserved a year, and then Freddie Kitchens deserved at least 2 years after that. So Kevin Stefanski, call me in 2023, then that's your turn.
Right.
And frankly, Kevin, I love you and everything, because you are the coach. But I think a lot of fans find you intimidating because you're too handsome.
Yeah, actually, put me also in that group.
Yeah.
I would be tongue-tied.
Yeah, it's you go to the game and you're about to yell, "Go Browns," and you look down there and you just see him, and then you're just like, "Oh wow, yeah, whoa." It's like you're hanging out with Nelly and it's getting hot in here.
Yeah. And Dave, I know this is one that our research showed up that I don't think was on the map.
No.
Or the radar. Browns fans seem to be pretty upset with the Haslam investment in the Columbus Crew, who's, I mean, I don't know if you know this, Dave. their colors basically the same as Pittsburgh football.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I was hoping that when they bought the team, they were going to change the colors, but at this point, they have not. So it's just something we're going to have to deal with. This one, Dylan, is a touchy subject. And I know there's people on all sides of this issue, and I don't want to alienate any of our fans or...
Look, we got to talk about it. We got to address it.
But people are finally fed up with politics getting involved in sports. They're tired of it. They don't want to see it. And so when you look on the field and you see that the NFL is taking a very, very controversial stance on Cleveland City Ordinance 411.04, which states, no person shall fly a kite or play any game of ball, including playing or using mobile or movable basketball hoops or other game on any street unless the same has been set aside for playground purposes. Dylan, the NFL wants to keep their monopoly on games of ball. The fans are tired of it, and they're tired of their sports getting intertwined with politics, and they're just sick of it. So,
absolutely.
I mean, they're not going to the game because the NFL, as soon as you go to that game, you empower them to do that. You look on the sidelines and you see a guy with a shirt on that says only authorized games of ball, and you're like, shut this off. I'm done. And so I can see why fans are getting sick of it. I don't, like I said, if you're pro games of ball, we want, that we can disagree and still have a dialogue, okay? But it seems like some of these NFL players, man, I mean, it's just my way or the highway. Get your games of ball off of my streets. The only games of ball are authorized NFL games of ball. I feel that's exclusionary, Dylan. Do you feel that's exclusionary?
Look, Dave, I got to tell you, I'm on the other side of the aisle with this thing, and I think, the players have a platform, and they should absolutely be using it to protect their games of ball.
I understand that, Dylan, and I understand they have a platform, and I'm not going to say shut up and dribble when it comes to games of ball. I'm not. But at some point, the tolerance of the fans to put up with, frankly, it's a luxury issue for these games of ball guys. When you get to the hardworking Americans of this country, and they just want to go out to the street and play a game of ball.
You're right.
And all of a sudden...
You're right. Look, you're right. It's happening on the playgrounds all over this damn city. You're right.
And it's unfortunate. And I understand your position on it, and I'm glad we can still be friends through this. But you go on to Facebook, and you see all this fake news about games of ball that weren't actually played on the street. Like, they show a picture, and it looks like, oh, look at this game of ball being played on the street. And then you go, wait a minute, that was an edited photo. This... game of ball had been set aside for playground purposes, and it's like you don't even know who to trust, and it's just really tough to get the facts out there. And I don't know, Dylan. Like I said, I'm glad we can still be friends about this, but it's something that every American deals with. And frankly, if I'm gonna have to sit there and see Odell Beckham on the sideline talking about no games of ball on the street, I'm just not gonna go to the game. I'm not gonna do it.
Another reason here. 2 words, Dave. Love Island.
CBS Thursday 9 p.m. I mean, what? Sorry.
How are you going to go up against that?
I mean, during Love Island's commercials, I switched back and checked on the game, but yeah, I'm not going to try to watch Love Island on my phone at a football game.
Are you kidding me?
No, and I'm not DVRing it because all the blogs will have spoiled it.
You got to be kidding me. I mean, it gets broadcast in 4K, Dave.
Yeah. I'm not watching that on my dinky phone. All right, and lastly, and this is kind of a big one for me, the Browns switched nacho cheese suppliers. This was kind of something that the Friday Fumble obtained this information, and we figured it out. That it used to be Muy Fresco nacho cheese sauce, which, as Dylan, it's the best nacho cheese in the game. Like, it was a premium product, And then word on the street came in that the cost-cutting measures set forth by Andrew Barry was they switched to Carnival King. And I understand.
Look, Dave. If you aren't getting Muy Fresco, you don't get nachos.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And if I'm not getting nachos,
yeah,
why are you going to a football game? Like, you go to the game for the nachos. Come for the nachos, stay for the football. And I understand the cost-cutting measure. Like, I know you're getting your pretzels from Carnival King, and Carnival King makes a hell of a pretzel.
They do.
But don't mess with the nachos. I mean, it's just not worth it.
Now, look, Dave, I know we're talking a lot about attendance, but I think we really got to touch on, what I think was probably the most distracting part of this whole thing was the broadcast booth.
Well, we should talk about this because this is how the majority of the fans apparently watched the game. The ones who bothered.
The clear majority, obviously. I mean, this is the goddamn Battle of Ohio, Dave. Don't give us this ramshackle Bush League bullshit.
Oh, man, did we get the freaking C team.
What, Aikman and Buck?
Ugh.
Where's Romo? What's Tony Romo doing?
What's Booger up to?
Well, Iron Eagle had a pre-existing commitment.
Yeah, what do you matter? Was Solomon Walcott not available? How did we get stuck with these guys? If I'm not getting the wisdom of Solomon during the first quarter, I don't know what's going on with the game. Like, I have trouble following.
We got goddamn Chris Collinsworth's kid over on Sunday Night Football now.
Yeah, you go over to ESPN2, and you got, like, some people hanging out watching the game you can watch. And then we get stuck with Aikman and Buck.
Look, man, and here's the thing. Aikman can't get a goddamn word in edgewise.
Well, he's marble-mouthed to begin with.
And then when he does, Dave, he's talking about breaking down defensive reads, possible zone coverages with your two safety set and all that. Who listens to that garbage?
Ugh.
Save it for your goddamn podcast with goddamn Jake Burns.
Yeah, if I wanted audio ovals drawn around football, I'd just talk to Jake. But he just goes on. And then, you know what? The one thing, though, that I really feel that the crew did well was they did focus most of the broadcast and commentary on, frankly, the most famous person in the game. And that is rookie quarterback from Ann, Ohio, the State University of Ohio, Golden God and Savior from the city of Athens by the mighty Ohio River, Joseph Borofsky.
Yeah. Yep. I was just about to mention this. And look, we all know Cleveland is 100% devoted to an Ohio State, the university, Ohio University, beach nuts. But I mean, we're a beach nut town before anything else.
Before anything else.
You know.
Like, okay, you put Browns game on Channel 3, Love Island on Channel 8, Beach Nut game replay from 2019 on Channel 19. I'm watching the Beach Nut replay.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if it's Beach Nut versus, like, I don't know, like,
well, you want to talk about, obviously the game with the team upstairs. That's going to be a big one. But, yeah, I'll watch one of those early season matchups with a MAC school any day of the week.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they knew what they were doing with all those fluff pieces about Joe and his potential in the league.
Yeah. And even if he didn't actually do much at an Ohio State, the University of Ohio, he, kind of mostly what he did there was leave there, I think, because there was someone else who was good. And, but he did go and kind of play there, and then he won a national championship in a team for a team that Ohio State of the University of did actually compete with and did kind of lose to. Anyway, he's still a beach nut. Once a beach nut, always a beach nut.
Yep. Semper Fi, man. And seriously, Dave, and I'm going to level with you here. I still haven't gotten over Baker Mayfield's blatant disrespect of that sacred university.
Yeah, you know what? And even with Nick Brosa's flag plant last year, I mean, it helped a little, but that was just like salve on a burn. It didn't
Right.
fix anything. The wound is still there.
These are hallowed grounds, Dave.
Ugh.
These are hallowed grounds, and these punks just going to come in and desecrate them.
You know what? I'm just going to say it. I will support any former beach nut on any opposing team before I support some fly-by-night SEC kid on the Browns. Unless the SEC kid was once a beach nut for like a year before someone was good there. That's obviously fine. And that's loyalty. Loyalty to the state of Ohio, the University of, University. And, we're going to run into it this week up against Washington football, and we'll talk about that in a minute because there are some key beach nut connections that we're going to have some trouble with this week on how we are rooting in this game. So, Dylan, we've talked about all the negative aspects of this game, but
gosh, there's a lot to talk about that's good, man.
It's a Victory Friday. I mean, how spoiled are we now in Cleveland? Think a few years ago, no wins, and now we're like, oh, well, sure, a win, but enjoy these, ladies and gentlemen. I know I did. I know that while that I do own a 75-inch 4K TV with the ability to watch a football game on, it is currently hanging on a wall, unplugged, covered in plastic, awaiting my basement to be repaired from the water damage that I sustained on Labor Day.
Yep.
So I watched on a much smaller, older TV.
Okay. There you go.
But that allowed me to watch on the antenna rather than the Hulu with the delay. Because I don't need that nonsense.
Live.
I had it live.
Wow.
Which I also had a problem with. I'm so used to watching things with like the 45-second Hulu delay that I was refreshing Twitter to see if something would happen before it happened. But I was watching the most live version of that.
So, in that sort of... I'm just going to jump in there for a second because I am a newbie to the Hulu game this year.
Oh.
And I'll tell you, I did not know. I did not know about the Twitter stream being at least 45 seconds ahead of everything that I'm seeing live on the television. And boy howdy, have there been some surprises.
Well, especially in Cleveland, where you're not quite sure when someone posts a one-word expletive, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I'll get a text from my brother-in-law that just says, holy shit. And I don't know if it's holy shit, that's an amazing touchdown pass from Baker Mayfield to Odell Beckham, or holy shit, it's a fumble. Like, you never know.
Right.
Because we respond the same way in both cases.
And honestly, we don't have enough trends analysis down for this year to know sort of generally which way it's going to be.
I think you just Baker with 3 exclamation points can either be touchdown pass or interception. Like, the GIFs aren't loading fast enough. So,
Miles, any sort of Miles and an expletive, used to be a guaranteed. Perfect,
sack,
good job, guys.
Strip sack, sack fumble.
But now, we got a little PTSD.
You all of a sudden see a tweet that says, Myles Garrett, what are you doing? And you're like, oh my God. Or Myles Garrett is a bad man. And it could have been a serious person saying that they think he's a bad man.
So I will say this, Dave. Thursday night, I was tired.
Yes.
As some of you know, we'll pull the curtain back a little bit. We record this on Wednesday evening.
Boy, ever did we.
And I prepared myself, as I typically do, with a big dose of caffeine. Many milligrams of caffeine. And so I was up. And then Thursday night rolled around, and I was so tired. Well, but I will tell you this. I got awoken. And my house came alive. In my living room, I had 3 dancing little boys. and I started pelting them with the softy football.
Oh, yes, as one does. I'll tell you the reason I was tired, and this is pulling the curtain back even more, is I'm throwing Dylan directly under the bus with this one. On this said Wednesday night, on this long slog of a prepare and record that I'm doing up in a separate room upstairs in my house, that first of all, I will take partial blame because I took 2 hours longer to just get that computer to be able to work that we could write and record. And then we finally get to the end of this slog at about midnight Eastern time.
Yeah. Yep.
Technically the day of Thursday Night Football. And Dylan says, well, let me send you that Zoom call recording. But let me listen to it first. Oh, shit, was, I believe, the phrase Dylan used. And at first I thought that we were just going to... Well, I first thought it could have been worse. I first thought, oh, it didn't record half of the audio or a part of the audio or any audio, and that we would just record a 5-minute message saying the Friday Fumble will return next week. But this may have actually been worse, that Dylan said, well, everything I said was very quiet. And I meaning Dylan. And so I spent the next hour, I'm not sure if you're familiar with audio editing equipment, selecting a little passage of waveform, which would be Dylan's voice, and amplifying it to a level that seems to always change because the software gives its best guess of what it thinks should be based on the highest... so I spent an hour clicking, dragging, clicking, listening, moving on for every word Dylan said. And so I also was tired for Thursday night, but still kind of wanted to stay up and watch the press conference afterwards and watch Steve Smith be a complete kind of idiot that didn't really say anything that made any sense the whole time.
Yeah, still couldn't sleep for another couple hours.
Yep.
As one does after a win on Thursday Night Football.
But hey, it's Thursday night, and that's what you do. All right, Dylan. I'm just going to go out here and say it.
Please do.
NFL, Washington football, we demand some money. If you will go back to 2016, the episode of the Friday Fumble is where we named your team Washington football. And we kind of figured out a few years in advance that maybe those team name really wasn't a word you wanted to say. You guys took a little longer, but we came up with the name. We'd like a check. I can prove it to you. I have the documents. I'll insert a clip here maybe. And if I don't insert one, I'll just delete this part where I talked about inserting one.
You may not know this, but the Washington football team is owned and operated by the U.S. government. It is run by the Department of Agriculture, and the official name is the USFA, or United States Footballing Agency.
Also, in that same sort of vein, Dave, I would like to request a moment of silence for all the grocery store and convenience store locations around the D.C. metro area that really had a huge chunk of their third quarter and fourth quarter revenue just really stolen out from under them by the eggheads over at Washington football team.
Yeah.
The generic racks of clothing
that all of a sudden are trademarked.
All of a sudden.
That's why I will allow myself to wear my Mark's purchased Cleveland football hat, because we remain Cleveland football. Yes. And Washington itself, it's just a terrible, terrible place. It's a despicable city, and it's kind of in this weird state of purgatory because just all the bureaucrats and the suckers up to the bureaucrats and the harlots and this goddamn government. I mean, they're just all horrible people. And we disagreed a little bit on the ball playing. Whatever side of the political aisle you're on, anybody who has achieved a position of power at that level is just a terrible person.
Yeah.
I don't care what letters by their name. You're terrible. Sorry.
That's just a damn fact.
It's just a damn fact.
So, I mean, be that as it may, which it is, the staff over here at the Friday Fumble, we've been struck with a bit of a giving spirit. A little early for Christmas, but, you know, Dave, it's right on time for National Lobster Day, which is today.
Now, is National Lobster Day a day where you would eat lobster or go out of your way to not eat a lobster?
Gosh
which side of the lobster coin is this?
And these are the questions that we should put to our listeners.
Yeah. We're going to put up a Twitter poll on National Lobster Day. Should you eat lobster or avoid eating lobster? Anyway, I didn't realize that it was National Lobster Day because I was too busy celebrating Purple for Platelets Day, which apparently it is. And I had a platelet issue a few years ago, so I should really be on top of this platelets thing.
Yeah, no. Dave, you're like 12 emails behind. So, yeah, it started Herman actually over in accounting. He suggested National German Sandwich Day, but Hayden started pushing for National Comic Book Day, and he's just the most obnoxious person I've ever met.
Is that what the text from Chris Clem was about?
Yes.
The stupid comic books?
Yes.
Oh, that dude.
Yes.
For a grown man, that dude really does too much with the comic books.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So,
yeah.
You remember that, though, so.
Well, I mean, then we got that thing from Alice that said we should do it for National Cooking Day. And then nobody really realized that she doesn't really get the fact that she was fired because of the fruitcake incident.
Well, and nobody really wants to tell her either, I think.
It would be so sad at this point.
Yeah, and then Brinley spoke up. She and her mother always celebrate National Daughters Day today, obviously. But then Toby started screaming about there not being a National Sons Day.
Oh my gosh!
We hit him with the trank dart and landed on National Lobster Day.
And again, we will figure it out whether it's eat or not eat lobster. But anyway, we decided here at the Friday Fumble we're gonna get together. We're gonna save Ron Rivera some trouble because he's got some trouble health wise. We're gonna take something off your plate, Ron. And even though the owner of Washington Football is also a terrible person, we're gonna do some work for you and come up with some new team names that you guys can peruse and choose. Firstly, the first one, I'll admit that I came up with this one. I'd like to just shorten it, their previous name, just the Washington Skins, and they can take it back to the playground if it's authorized.
If it's a city ordinance.
Yeah. And their opponents can wear shirts, they can wear skins, and then it's just easy.
Yeah. Keeping with the local tradition, Washington Smithsonian docents.
Yeah. Well. Washington Block Creek Park. That's kind of a popular one.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah, this one. The Washington, everybody's favorite CIA analyst, Jack Ryans.
Yeah, the Jack Ryans, I can just see the helmet now. On one side of the helmet, which represents Season 1, it's a really good design. And then the other side of the helmet, which represents Season 2, not as good as the other one.
Maybe saved a little writing money on the writing room.
Yeah, and then just kind of came up with a plot. Anyway, next up, we got the core demographic of Washington, D.C., the Washington Boomers.
Hey, Dave, how about, I'm just spitballing here, what about the, Washington Dumb Idiots?
Well, that's all who lives there, so why not represent the city? And hand in hand with that one, how about the Washington Happy Meal Asses? That they're going to get dragged, their Happy Meal ass, up and down the street.
Hey, this is Hugh Jackson, and now it is time to know your foe. Back to you, Dave and Dalen.
Dylan?
Yep.
Out of conference game, finally.
Woo.
Team we
thank
haven't played in
God.
4 years. And guess what? This roster is full of players that I've some heard of and mostly haven't. Let's take a look at this roster, Dylan. What do we got?
Yeah, first, we're going to look at that offense. Supercar inventor Terry McLaren.
Acoustic guitar master craftsman Wes Martin.
Creole center Chase Roulier.
The second Wes on the offensive line, Wes Schweitzer.
Whoa. Too many Wes's.
That's a lot of Wes's.
Keeper of the offensive line commandments, Morgan Moses.
At tight end, disgraced YouTuber Logan Thomas.
Also, add a tiny amount of tight end. Just a Jeremy Sprinkle.
At wideout, popular bar video game, Antonio Gandy Golden Tee.
Running back, J.D. McKissing Bandit.
And lastly, the guy who gives the Mannings their haircuts, Peyton Barber.
Over to the defense from an Ohio University Bobcats, Chase Young.
Nancy's husband, Ryan Kerrigan.
If Darren Payne can't make it, you'll have to settle for Tim.
Ew. What is this all over my Peloton? Is this Montez sweat?
Sean Dion Hamilton, star of the Broadway historical hit, Cats.
Jazz legend, and I know you love him, Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy Davis Sr.
Man, the sultry tones. Kevin Pierre Louise.
I mean, the Pierre is in there, so maybe Louis? I don't know.
Yeah,
I just don't know. A man who turned a small bookstore into an airport mega chain, Kaliki Hudson.
Real model for success there. Everyone's least favorite character on Succession, Kendall Fuller.
Ronald Arby's.
NASCAR driver Cole McComb and his crew chief Danny Johnson.
At corner, famous literary villain, Fabian Moreau.
At the nickel, Greg Strongman.
And finally, the most popular haircut of 1978, the Cameron Curl.
Let's go take a look at their special teams, Dave. We got to give it to them this one time only.
One time.
The punter is a man named Tress, which I honestly didn't think was a name.
Yeah, when I said man named Tress, it wasn't like, oh, this guy's got a girl's name. Like, I've never heard of anyone named Tress of any. Yeah.
Under any circumstance.
No circumstances. Kicker, Dustin Hoffman.
And finally, the long snapper from Office Space, Nick Lundberg.
Okay, Dylan. It's time. This one's a toughie because,
yeah,
like, let's just say you're at a grocery store, Dylan.
Okay.
And you walk up to the cereal aisle, as I know you like to do, and you want to buy some Frosted Flakes.
A lot of kids.
And you go and you buy the Frosted Flakes. You see the Tony the Tiger on the box. You know what to expect.
Always do.
But sometimes money's a little tight right now. Maybe you go to the bags of cereal that are a little bit lower on the shelf, and it just says
Iced rounds.
Yeah.
Larry the Lion.
I picked one that Frosted Flakes would be the name of them. So it's like, maybe I picked the wrong cereal. But you're looking at a generic football team that you can't predict what's going to be in that box. Sometimes those Cheerios taste just as good as the real Cheerios. And sometimes you get like a graham cracker or something. You're like, oh, this is just not as good. Like, there are some times when the brand matters and sometimes it doesn't. And we need to figure that out with Washington football.
Yeah, what exactly? I mean, the recipe seems like it's all in place. You know, they got Ron Rivera. They got a team full of funnily named people.
Yeah, they got a couple of beech nuts. A couple of beech nuts.
A couple of beech nuts. A couple of Bobcats. The recipe seems like it's in order. However, I've been fooled before.
Did the racist name give them an edge that we didn't know about? Will
guess
they
we're
play a
gonna
little
find
less
out.
now? We'll see. Or maybe they felt guilty about it the whole time and will play better now that it's gone. I just don't know.
Here's the thing, Dave. As unpredictable as the Washington football team may be, here's what I do know. This Browns team, about to go streaking.
You know what, Dylan? I will say this. As unpredictable as Washington football is, the Browns are predictable. It's very easy to know that they're going to put forth a great performance every week, and it's never going to vary wildly how they do.
Nope. And any one-word text or tweet that we come across during the game that simply says, Odell or OBJ, we're going to know 100% for sure something wonderful and great happened.
Something great happened. And so it's time to predict the score. And Dylan, last week, I predicted the offense. You predicted the defense. Let's switch it up so we're not cheating here.
Yeah.
What do you think the Browns are going to put up offensive-wise?
Dave, it's a tough call here. I really think what's going to happen is we're going to go 3 touchdowns on them all through the air. I think Baker hasn't really had the chance to air it out too much yet. And, we got to get those numbers up, build his confidence going into week 4. And so we're going to see some aired out touchdowns. We're going to see 3 of them, Dave.
Okay.
On top of that, we're going to put that new kicker to the test.
Yeah.
He's going to knock down a 55-yarder. Easy, with change left over. Then, finally, in the waning moments of the ball game, Myles Garrett, strip sack, safety.
You know what? I feel like a little bit I told you to do the offense, and you did a defensive play at the end.
Damn it. Oh, God damn it. Man, I really stole into your power there.
So I guess I'll do some of the defense then. Fine. So you've got the offense and some of the defense, scoring 26. That's great. I love it. I agree with you. I was also going to say they were going to get a safety, Dylan. And everybody
just pull that off.
Everybody knows that Washington football starts hot. They're going to put up a touchdown in the first quarter. Touchdown in the second quarter. Third quarter, held scoreless. But the fourth, they're going to get into one of those situations near the end of the game where you need a touchdown and a field goal, and they're going to get the field goal first and then try an onside kick.
Okay.
But they're going to not recover the onside kick. Browns give up 17 points, but the defense contributes 2 of their own. So I think we've got this here. Browns win 26-17.
You can put your money on that.
Yeah, if you want. I mean, you won it all on...
I mean, you should.
You doubled it on last Thursday. So as long as you didn't blow it...
You shouldn't be a dumb idiot and not put your money on this.
Yeah, put your money on this. Bet against the generic team. For some reason, all the fall festivals are closed, so you've got time to watch the game. I guess everybody just thought, you know what, these fall festivals are dumb. Let's stop having them. That's what happened.
Plenty of time to watch.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening this week. Thank you to Carrie Ryan for our theme at the end. Make sure you vote in our Twitter poll. Is National Lobster Day a day where you eat lobster, or
are we saving the lobster?
Or are we saving the lobsters? You can find that on our Twitter at Friday Fumble. Dylan, you've decided you want to do a big push for followers on there. And so follow us and tell your friends and retweet and get some people to follow us. And then it won't be as embarrassing when we sign up to do our own cameos that we have to tell them we have like 300 followers. Yeah. So sign up.
Dumb idiots.
Yeah, line up, sign up. Dylan, you got anything else to add?
Oh, man. Nope.
All righty. Well, this has been your Browns Friday Fumble.
It's Friday Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward